having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Tape Deck Media.
Welcome to Hosstown.
I'm Taylor Ruddle.
I'm Matt Lilley.
We are the Bears of Hosstown. Let's start the show. When you're ready.
Hey, welcome to Hosstown.
Welcome back.
That's Matt.
And Taylor, not for the second time, because
No.
I'm an incompetent moron.
We've had no technical issues at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Stay tuned to the end of the episode if you want to see the the bit where the mic wasn't on.
Yeah.
I've done that twice now. I recorded an interview with those two wrestlers and I forgot to switch the mics on. I think I'm getting senile in my old age, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me about this AI. You've become a big...
Well, we were talking about how, like, you know, we haven't been as active on the Hosstown front.
Yes.
Life has been getting busy, and for me, it's been the day job. The day job's been getting busy. That 9 to 5 is, you know, responsibility. Yeah, responsible. It's the trap of the 9 to 5. You start doing well at it, they give you more shit to do, and then you just get buried. But anyway,
your reward is more work. Yeah.
You know, but then I'll tell you what's kind of got me out of this mountain of more work.
Right.
It's AI. I've become a full convert. I've basically morphing myself into the machine more and more as the day goes by, and I'm just here to say, like, I don't know, how familiar are you with the world of AI, Taylor? In terms of your LLMs and your AI assistants.
Yeah. So how familiar am I? Like, I don't know how it works or anything like that, but like,
no one does.
So I've got a good friend, Mark Churnside, who's been on the pod before, and he was. It's like we had this chat in the car where we were talking about how the way the average person will use a tool is very different to like the way that it's like the potential, you know what I mean? The average person uses 10% of the potential. We're just making pictures with it, and I want to see what I would look like if I was riding a dinosaur and all that kind of thing. But then what's actually possible with it is like, because when you start talking about AI, you run into several camps. There's obviously like the stolen art camp of things, but then there's the energy, you know, it's very taxing on energy, but then also like you hear about they're using AI to pick up scans of people's lungs and they're noticing cancer and stuff way quicker with AI. And so like, there's three very distinct ways a conversation about AI can go.
Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of entering the point in the timeline where a lot of people are waking up to the inevitability of it. Because
the genie is out of the bottle.
The genie is out of the bottle, and I don't know, like, because I remember I was having this discussion the other day with somebody. But do you remember sort of 2021, 2022 when you got the arrival of Dolly?
Yeah,
Dolly. So, that was when it was very much at that, like, oh, look at how silly this AI is with the 6 fingers on the hand. And it's,
Well, so I can a very firm memory of that in my a very fresh memory in my head. I was just redoing some graphics for a show that we did. We used some DALL-E AI, because it's like Salvador Dali, right? That was the pun, wasn't it?
I wouldn't know. Yeah. I don't know who Salvador Dali is.
He painted that thing with all the melting clocks, I think.
Or
it was either that or it was one of those ones. It was like, you know, Jackson Pollock, the throwing paint at the page, that kind of thing. So, and it's shocking how it's what 3 or 4 years ago, 2021. You said was when DALL-E came out.
21, early 22.
So like the difference in how good the illustration is, like now from them, is like actually staggering. I was looking back at some of these and thinking like, I thought these were great back then, but it's like we didn't even know how kind of refined it was going to get.
Oh, and then just think about how far it's going to be in another 3 years. That's the crazy thing.
The scary thing.
And like for me, like yeah, like you're saying, most people don't understand what, they're just going to, put myself in a dinosaur or whatever, give me a shopping list for healthy food
Writing
or something.
emails for me.
Writing
that kind of
emails for
thing,
me.
yeah.
But for what I've done recently is, it's a bit more different because, I've got a very data and code-based job. I'm basically just building apps and building things all just by myself.
Apps?
I'm building apps. Man, the Hoss app. That's
It just scans all the fast food places and gives you like the best discount. And,
honestly, that actually might be a good promotional tool. I built a Hoss app. It'll be in the app store by the time this episode
you
gets
get after
out.
it.
Like, that's the thing, because I could probably put it up in a week. That's how quickly the AI
So you're
is.
building genuine apps that are going
Yes.
onto the app.
Not so much the app store. A lot of it's kind of private stuff because it's like stuff that we use with our data we use, and we don't want it all out there. But like, I built a Chrome extension, which is essentially just an overlay of a biomechanics app called Canovia, which is what people use. It's like the difference is you have to download the video file and put the video into it and be able to draw and do all this like biomechanical analysis of it. I've been able to build one that just is an overlay on a web browser. So you can just, which is took me about 2 weeks of like maybe an hour or two a day of working on it. And
so you were coding this with the help of AI? Or?
Yes.
So you would ask it like, this is the problem I'm trying to solve now. Because I've done a little bit. I used to work at an apps company years ago. And because that's what programming is really, is just you trying to make a series of things happen. And then each one is kind of like how do I solve this problem I'm having? So the first thing is like, okay, you went, how do I let it upload a video to Chrome or something like that?
Kind of like how do I build an extension that syncs up with the video and is able to go timing data, and then I built the timing data, and then I went from that to building the drawings you can do on it, and then it's basically, and then there's the debugging process. So like this, and like it's telling you everything it's doing while you're doing it. So you inevitably pick up stuff on the way, because then.
So did you have any experience programming before this?
A little bit, like maybe did a couple of Udemy courses.
But
nothing really stuck.
Basically from nothing.
In the last 2 months, basically.
My goodness.
Basically from nothing. I was, my job is very manual, sort of borderline one step above data entry, essentially.
I see,
and now I'm able to kind of, go even further from it. So I'm a complete convert. And even I'm trying to bring it more into my comedy life. It's not writing my jokes. I can't do that, but I can't.
Damn it. I'm going to have to keep slugging on
that. This will enrage a couple of people, potentially. I don't know if we've got some, ethical artists out there, but I haven't started building this. I just queried my AI Claude. I'm a big fan of Claude. Anthropic is what I've been using. But I asked it if I could theoretically build a program that takes all of the transcripts from successful comedy specials.
Tell me about this,
So like Netflix or on YouTube or wherever, and also viral comedy clips on YouTube and TikTok, and look for trends and joke structures and, sort of punchy words that are blowing up, and kind of trying to track common viral trends in comedy to then, see what you can do with that. I don't know. Will that just mean I'm just going to come across as a very like hacky comedian that's just copying whatever trend, or is it going to help me add a little flavor and potentially push those clips from 500 to 50,000 views? I don't know.
So this is one thing I think it's interesting, and like I think so. My personal thoughts on AI is like I have been converted. Like I said, I've used AI to do art for graphics, and generally I'll use it to give us a starting off point. Like we'll use you in our comedy for an example. We got it to do some laser Kiwi things, and that was essentially just because like it was a bit of a dice roll as to whether I could afford to pay an artist like $100 to do graphics for a show that might not even sell. Like I just straight up couldn't afford that. However, now that we've proven that it is a concept that people will come out and see, I'm like, okay, I can justify spending a bit of money to pay like a proper artist to do it well. And so that's one whole thing of the AI art. But then it's like you're saying, your job is like slightly above data entry, and like I've used, so like I've got this spreadsheet with joke one-liners in it to like rank how strong they are, and it sort of has like an average of how good most of them are, and it'll give a sense for how good a joke is based on sort of like how good the rest of them are. And like that, like AI is great for helping you noodle through these problems. Where like if you're not just asking it to do the entire thing for you, I think that's where like probably a lot of the friction is from people that are like teachers and their students are just using AI to write like essays, and then they're apparently not even they're not even cutting off the like, certainly here's an essay about the Mesopotamian period and trade routes and whatever it is, and so like people, it's like you're not even trying to hide it.
No.
But I think I think we definitely need some kind of regulation, especially on what you train it on. That's like, I think a lot of people's bugbear is like that you're just ripping off artists, and it's like this, you know, Hayao Miyazaki was furious because they just replicated the style that Studio Ghibli's been working on for like, what, 30, 40 years? So like, that I think is fucked. But yeah, these things where it's like, you almost use it as like Jarvis from Iron Man, you know, how he can sort of like, you know, all the stuff. It's like, okay, sure, we could probably do all the calculations ourselves, but it would take it would take hours, and it's probably going to be wrong. Whereas, like, if a computer program can do it, like, you know, like that, then it's like, that seems fine to me.
Because that's where I started using it, is because, like, you know, I'd be going into Excel and like,
that was a long way of saying that's what I was doing too.
Because most of my, like, we use a lot of spreadsheet stuff, so I was going in and being like, how do I, you know, combine spreadsheets and do all this sort of shit. So that's basically how I jumped onto it, and then within like a month was building apps.
That is staggering that it took you a month to build apps. The other thing I think I do wonder about this is, it's like anytime there's a new technology, there is resistance. Like, there's a great Michelin Web sketch about cavemen chipping rocks and tying them to sticks, and then someone comes along and is like, we've got bronze now, we don't need chippers, is what they refer to the guy. And, you know, he's like, what, does stone not work all of a sudden? And like, you know, there's like this resistance to the new technology, right? And like, I'm very curious as to like Photoshop now. Were artists looking at Photoshop the way some people are looking at AI back when Photoshop first came out? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think so, because like, I think that's also, like, if you go specifically on programming, like, there was obviously like 30 years ago, the programming languages
had to write it
longhand, or then they became very binary, and then it was like the computer cards. And then you suddenly advanced to like something like Python, which is developed into a pretty, like, I could do a little bit of Python stuff, and I'm a doofus. That's basically how
I
it
was
goes
like
with that.
C++ or C# or something I learned.
So like, it's kind of, it's a big leap, but it's kind of like just a leap along the progression.
And
when
like,
it comes to that,
like with Photoshop, you can do things where I'm like, this probably appeared to be like magic in the way that AI appears to be magic back in the day. Like things like chucking filters on images to like make them look like a cartoon. Like, now we look at them and we go, that's so obviously a Photoshop filter, but like, I'm sure back in the day, like, you can actually tell this with graphic design. You can see in logo trends from each year, like what the new tool was that everybody like gradients was a big thing, where you can make something go smoothly from like white to black or whatever it is, and gradients were everywhere once it became, I don't know what year it was, I remember they just telling us this in design school, and it was like every logo had a gradient in it, and everyone was using gradients because it was like, oh man, look, it looks so futuristic, like it's this amazing thing. And then now everything's flat colors again, because suddenly gradient's not like kitsch anymore. It looks really like sort of hacky almost to have a gradient. Well, to have a not subtle gradient in your logo is quite it looks dated now. So have you come across any business, like, we don't have to name and shame them, but have you come across any businesses where you're like, that logo is definitely AI generated?
100% all the time. All the time. It's just, especially not to name and shame anybody.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I mean, the amount of comedy posters I'm seeing pop up from friends, especially in other scenes.
To be fair, I've been guilty of using it.
But like, you know, yours at least, like, you take it as a starting base and you add a little bit extra.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I don't want to excuse myself for that. I feel like that's making excuses, but like, I think it's one of those things, and this is why it's dangerous, is because like, I'm sure there's nefarious shit going on behind the scenes, but they're like, you know, it's like they're doing all this stuff, like they're probably learning a lot about the way people think by how they interact with AI as well. Yeah. But they're like, hey, like it's the magician's trick, right? It's like, watch this hand. Like, do you want to see what you look like riding a dinosaur? Like, use this AI thing. And it's like, there's this conspiracy theory. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it sounds legit, where it's like, you remember how there was that filter? Was it a filter or was it a challenge? I think it was a challenge where it was like, upload a photo of yourself 10 years ago and then now. And it was like, the conspiracy theory is that people were using this to train software on like aging, how people age.
Well, I think the worst one of that similar ilk was Ancestry.com. Where people were
logging your DNA.
They're logging your DNA and your family. Well, no, 23andMe. It was 23andMe.
Yes.
Ancestry.com is just the one that you look back. Some like your great aunt will upload like part of your family tree, and you're able to go in and say, "Oh, I'm the seventh cousins of Richie McCaw."
That's the thing. They always paint it as like, you might be descended from Charlemagne, from King Louis.
And then everybody was like, "Oh, I'm 2% Lebanese." And it's like, no, shut up. You're
That's how
Irish.
they get you, though, right? They make it this fun. Like, it must be a Black Mirror episode where someone's done, where it's like this really thing we don't want them knowing about us or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But because it's fun and you can make images of yourself and there's this. Like TikTok is actually quite genius in that thing, because the idea of trends that they have on TikTok is like humans. Those people that you tell a story and then they cut you off before you finish the story and they start telling you about the same thing that happened to them, but to them it's more interesting because it's about them. It's like they just don't want to listen to the rest of your story. So
Yeah,
like,
hold on, just before you finish that.
he's got me. Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Is like anything that is like a self-insert. So it's like trends is like, it's like, well, everyone's doing the whatever dance song trend, whatever it is, but like I haven't done my version of it yet, and like that's why. And it's like that the algorithm likes interacting and uploading all that kind of thing. So like I think it's very smart the way they've like sort of it's like they soft launched AI to us of like hey, you could have you ever wondered what you would look like if you were a Ghibli character? And then, well, we're going to keep the photo of your face that you uploaded, but don't worry, we're not going to do anything with it. And it, like, I don't know, that part of AI worries me.
But I don't even think you could say that's AI. I think that's just data in general. That's been the way the internet, because I got mad.
Right.
I got mad the other week because I was going to Z, the petrol station.
You could stop there. Yeah, I hate going to Z.
I just go there because it's like a short walk to my office. Is like the only it's my guilty pleasure while I'm at work.
Yeah.
I'll get like a sausage roll and whatever.
Nice.
But a couple months ago, they brought in an app. And for 2 or 3 weeks, every time I went, the person behind the counter would just be like, "Oh, do you have the Z app yet? You're able to get so many discounts."
Yeah, the Macca's app is the same.
I was just like, no, I don't want the app. I don't care. But that's kind of, I feel, almost worse than because they're trying to monitor your food and your food purchases and everything, and then start like using the data. Like the argument would be is they're just trying to make. The altruist argument for that is because you're trying to get real-time data for people's food trends so that you're not making food that isn't needed or wanted, so you're reducing food waste.
Sure, yeah.
But we really know what's going on.
So they can jack up the prices of whatever people are buying the most, right?
I mean, the sausage rolls have gone from $3.70 to $4.50 in the last... That's because they know I'm going for a lot of them.
That's the darkest timeline is when you've got a chip. We've got a chip in our shoe, and when we walk into the store, all the prices change just for us. And surge pricing on sausage rolls.
Honestly, I might build the Hoss AI app, which is going to like show you the best deals on like certain Hoss interested things.
Well, so I saw a tweet that was like that where it said the things I want AI to do are to scan all of the grocery websites for coupon codes and get me the cheapest prices for all these things. It's like, I don't want AI to be making art and music. I want it to like actually improve my life. And it's like, but it's one of those things where it's a tool like anything else, right? It is what you make of it. And so like, you're obviously... You've made your own sort of life a lot easier by creating these apps and whatever it is.
Easier or harder? Because now I'm going to go back into work in the next couple of weeks and I'll have expectations.
Well, that's the trouble.
I'll be known as the AI guy. And
you're already required to fix people's emails.
Yeah. I don't know.
We used to play dumb at my last office. Pretty much anyone under 30, you'd be later be like, "Oh, computers. I can't get into my email," and you're like, "What the fuck do you want me to do about it?" I'm not the IT person. I don't know. I don't know what your password is. And they were just sort of like, it's like, there's this one person who they were trying to get the printer to work, and the printer had some pop-up thing. And it's like, this person wasn't even reading the pop-up. They were just like hitting buttons, and it was like, they're like, "It's not doing what I want it to do." And it's like, well, read what the box says, and that might give you an indication of what the error is. But it was almost like this box with the message was just a nuisance, and it was like, oh, that's in the way. And it's like, well, if you read that and then do the thing that it's, it'll say like drum jammed or something, so you yank the drum out and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, some people just, it's like they just give up with the first bit of resistance with technology. But I don't know, maybe that's,
Which,
if you're not raised on it, yeah.
Well, but that's what AI is for. Once you get to that point of just being like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, just put your question into ChatGPT and it'll tell you the next step, and then you'll get to the next step and hit a roadblock again, put that question into ChatGPT, and off you go again. Yeah. So
the other thing that's I hadn't realised it could be this useful for was you can kind of stress test ideas through it. Yeah. Like I can announce this now. We've just booked in a bunch of shows at the Comedy Club. We've got one coming up called Sock of the Pops, where we're going to find the best socks in the room, and
the questions we really need answered.
Yeah, exactly. We really got to. It's really dystopian. We're filling in an hour, but what I'm doing now is I'm asking GPT like, what are some interesting categories we can judge socks based on? So one I like is, what undiagnosed neurodivergence do you have that we can tell by your socks? What crimes are you likely to commit based on your socks? It gave me a few more that they're escaping me at the moment. But like, that's the idea, is like, and then so you type in like, here's how the show works. Can you think of any ways that it could go wrong? And it'll suggest some stuff. So it's like, it's like Jarvis, right? Like I always think of it as like it's just like help, you know what I mean? Like it's like a sounding board for ideas sometimes, and like it doesn't know what's a good idea and what's a bad idea, but like hopefully through interacting with it, you'll kind of pick up on like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea, and that kind of stuff I'm very excited about the future for. But like I definitely agree with the people that say we need to regulate what it can and can't be trained on, because like I know, is it like Amazon or something? They were trying to, or Spotify maybe, were trying to like, just trust me, bro. I need all of the, I need the audio library to train AI on, and like there was a sort of grey area where they were like, well, you haven't told us what you're going to do with it, and also like what company was it? It was either, whatever the company was, it was the one that used to sue people for downloading like a pirated copy of Metallica. But now they're the ones that are like, just give us the album. It's very hypocritical. Whatever company that was, Amazon or Spotify or someone.
The problem is now, like, I think like the biggest development in there, which makes that kind of thing even scarier and harder to police, is you got things like DeepSeek, which is the Chinese AI, which is like, solves a lot of the energy problem, which was their big thing, is they basically developed an AI that was maybe not quite as good as the others, but used like a tenth of the power. But the problem is, if it's based in China, and like is the reason why all copyrighted manufactured clothes and everything come out of China, is because they have very, 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 very loose to non-existent copyright laws. So it just takes if you're using DeepSeek and you're getting all that stuff, it's going to have no sort of like moral or ethical limits to it. Same, and then also there's also the same concerns with old Twitter's Grok, where that's run by Elon, who has, again, very few ethical concerns for a lot of subjects. He's just going to let that run wild. So, you've got a lot of...
So it's not a matter of like... Do you think there is going to be... Like, how Google is the search engine by default now? Yeah. Do you feel like there is eventually going to be one AI that everybody goes for? Or do you think it's going to be... there are different tastes?
I think there's going to be different tastes, because like the one I'm using a lot, which is Claude, done by a company, Anthropic. They promote themselves as being the most ethical. Oh yeah. They were an original. They were like one of the groups that split off early on, like 4 or 5 years ago, from OpenAI, the ones that did ChatGPT. When like there was a big like ChatGPT, OpenAI, I want to make it as profitable as possible, and then a bunch of them were like, no, we need to be safe and put safeguards on it. That's what Anthropic became. So I think I could see in the future where it's like companies and organizations and governments are like, no, we're only using the ethical ones.
Yeah.
But the unethical ones are still going to exist on the internet, and you're still like, you're still going to be able to go to them for the dark arts.
It's the people who say it's what do they call them? The alleyway, the alleyway pharmacist or whatever. It's like, I can get you these tablets, but they fell off the back of a truck or whatever.
And that's the thing, it's not going to have the same funding or the same, high-end developers, and it'll probably fuck up, but like...
Your deep mind brain chip might have this weird glitch every now and then, but like, hey, look, it's cheaper.
But you might, it'll still help you buy some weed.
Yeah.
Like that's you might be able to get, you might be able to import some illegal substances through it or something like that. That's kind of the early internet. That was how like, Google came out, but then at the same time you had the Silk Road.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe we're at that point of the AI timeline, and it'll just take...
Well, I believe we're in the equivalent of like, when you watch Mad Men, everybody's smoking constantly, and we look at that now like, oh, that's not good. Like, I believe right now, in another 20 years, or what is the difference between Mad Men now, 50, 70 years, something like that, they're going to be looking at this unbridled like social media and algorithms and AI stuff is like, like asbestos, right? Like, oh, this stuff's so fireproof and it's amazing, and we're not gonna. When did they realize asbestos is bad for you? Like
the 90s or 80s.
Yeah, not a long time ago.
Yeah.
So like,
you've seen that there's a whole town in Australia.
Yeah.
That's like considered like basically a waste zone, a toxic zone, because it was next to an asbestos mine. It's like they called Australia's like Chernobyl, basically. The whole area is a toxic area because it was just a big open asbestos mine.
What was
the town? It's in the middle of Western Australia somewhere.
Is
in the outback.
Asbestos is like a fiberglass kind of substance,
kind
right?
of,
and it gets into your lungs.
Yeah, that's why it's so fibrous and it gets carried in the air, and that's why it gets into your lungs and it causes a bunch of lung cancers and stuff.
Man, that's scary.
Yeah.
I saw a really harrowing, we won't get too much into this, but, Iran and Israel are launching things at each other at the moment.
Having a wee tiff.
Yeah. I saw this is a TikTok on the feed that just said, like, here's what to know if you see a mushroom cloud. And I was like, oh no, we're at this point of dystopia where like, what was it? You still have people's backyards in London that have like bomb shelters for, they're usually garden sheds now, but like they have bomb shelters from the Blitz, and it's just like, oh, I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah. It'll be interesting though when they start having warring AIs. That's, to be fair, that might be.
It's going to be so quick as well though.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be, like I believe there was a Doctor Who episode where he lands on some planet and they're like super soldiers, or they're like artificially grown humans, and there's these two camps that are at war with each other, and they refer to them like, oh, we've been at war for generations with each other and nobody remembers why anymore. And then it turns out like, because of generations, then it only takes about a day to grow these people. They've been at war for like a week or something when he turns up, and to them it's this, this beyond living memory kind of thing. We can't remember how long. And I feel like that with, the AI versus AI war, like how much quicker they can think than us, right? It's like I've been following some pages that are showing like geopolitics updates between like Russia and Ukraine, and have you heard about the thing with the drones, the way drone warfare is working now?
A little bit, yeah.
So like, from what I've seen anyways, it's real. It's like war is sort of, it's obviously not good, but the way it drives technology is sort of funny, because like I remember reading about before World War II, they thought the big tech was going to be battleships. They thought, battleships are going to be the thing that these are going to be the big ones. But then what they realized is it's actually aircraft carriers was the game changer, because you can attack from so much further away, and if they can get back and refuel. And it was this whole, all these, they had, I don't know, all the navies had a big battleship, but I don't think they ever really saw much action. I think they might have been shelling the shore or something like that. But it's like drones are back to being wired again. Like, remember wireless drones was a big thing.
Yeah, I've been hearing wired drones. Yeah,
the battlefields are just covered in this like fiber optic cable stuff, because it's like the big advantage with wire is you can't hack them or you can't disrupt them, because
it can be in a closed network and everything. Yeah,
and so they're attached to this, like, it looks like Spider-Man's whatever he shoots.
So do they shoot out like a big missile that carries the optic cable out across the battlefield?
No, so the drones just have like
they're just like dragging it with them.
Yeah, it comes out of it's like a fishing rod, and it's so great. I can't believe I can just see this stuff on TikTok. Like you see the drone's POV, and I guess they must be sending something back to the drone operator, and like you'll see them, like because it's like you can't hack them and stuff like that. So if you've got a wired one, they're literally resorting to like just putting nets over roads because they can't get through the nets, and so like. But apparently the drone operators are getting better, so they're finding out how to sneak these things through the nets, and then like they it's real grim because you see them flying at a tank or something, and then the feed just cuts out, and I'm guessing that's when the drone explodes or something. I don't know exactly what happens. They got bombs on them or something, and you're just like you're watching this, and you're like, how am I just able to see this? Like, how is that legal? You know what I mean? Like it seems.
Well, you think about it, a lot of it's probably propaganda to scare the other side. They're just like, hey, look at these cool ass weapons.
You see both sides. Sometimes you're like, this is a Russian drone, this is a Ukrainian drone. But like, I think the wired drones are almost like the battleship, the aircraft carriers from this war. It's like, it seems like they're throwing a lot of those at each other.
Yeah.
And I guess drones are pretty cheap to... It's just plastic, isn't it, really?
Yeah, most of them, it's like, because China is like the leader in drone technology, so I'd say a lot of it is coming out of there too.
Yeah, what is the expression during the gold rush? It's not the gold miners who get rich, it's the guys selling the shovels.
Well, that's the thing, and actually, because drones are actually, to bring it back to the AI chat, drones in America especially, over the like 10, 15 years ago, there was a lot of legislation came in limiting the scope of drones because of privacy concerns, because people were flying them into other people's backyards and being peeping toms and stuff. But and because of like airline regulations and stuff, people were flying them near airports and getting caught in the engines. But like, because of that, there were all these restrictions. Like, you can't have a drone that's like goes outside of a however long, like maybe like 3 kilometer radius or whatever it is, and you can't have a drone that like. Is piloted by AI. It has to have a person on it. But in China, there's none of those restrictions. So they've been able to develop all these more automated drones and everything like that. And
it's terrifying. Like the way it's just how quick it happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, I still remember when I was a kid watching Pokemon, and they had video phones in Pokemon, though, so you could just see. It was like a whatever, and like. I remember thinking as a kid, that's like space age technology. Like we'll never have that, and then it was like. I don't know, 10 years later we started to get video calls, and now it's almost like you don't even think about it. It's just like, oh yeah, you can just like, every mobile device out there can do video calling. And it's like...
I was watching Austin Powers the other day, and it was like, 1997, and it was like all big futuristic tech. Yeah. They've got the video call coming in, and it's like...
Oh, yeah. So this leads, if you're into this, so my flatty and I have been watching... the James Bond movies from the first one back, and like now that I've seen a lot of these, like so first one was Dr. No, which we watched, which apparently is not made by like Eon Productions or something, but it has Sean Connery in it, so it's like it's kind of connected but not really. And then like that one, have you seen Dr. No?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty hokey, like it's definitely like they were figuring it out. But then I will say From Russia with Love is like, it really holds up. It's a really good movie. Do you know that one at all?
I've seen maybe 2 James Bond movies.
Yeah,
so
like
not a huge.
It's like when you watch Austin Powers.
Yeah,
as we grew up in the 90s, so it's like I didn't really know what it was parodying. But like when you watch the thing that it's parodying, you're like, oh, this is what Austin Powers is making fun of there. Like there's like the goons that are the evil bad guy hires are just so inept in the old Bond movies. Like I'll give spoilers for From Russia with Love, but like and this is really interesting as well, the way there's been this arms race of like the big climactic, the climax of the book in the old one, or the movie, sorry, in the old ones is real quaint compared to like like when you watch the Daniel Craig ones, it's like Skyfall is. He has this big thing where he's got to defend his childhood home or his childhood estate from the baddies, and it's this 15-20 minute sort of gunfight at the end. But like the Dr. No, he it's really weird because like he sneaks into the base and he puts on like a it's like a nuclear thing, you know, like it's like that volcano lair kind of thing that Dr. Evil has. It's like, I think it was parodying that from Dr. No. And he's just sort of like pretending to be one of his henchmen for a bit, and then somehow his cover's blown and he just kind of wrestles with Dr. No and then eventually pushes him into what I think is like acid or something, or I don't know, it's like a really like it's like a really unclimactic fight. And then the last bit of the movie is like the base is coming down and it's like him and I can't remember what the Bond girl from that movie is called, but it's just them kind of like escaping, and then you're just seeing like the base falling to bits and people running around and scared, and then they get on a boat and it's kind of like, oh, they're saved. And then like From Russia with Love, a lot of it is on the Orient Express, which is like a sort of famous train going from Russia to wherever it is, Thailand, I'm not sure, and the like there's this dude they've been hyping up the whole movie. He's called Grant, and he's like, it's again, standards have changed. So like Dr. No at one point he says like, do you know how much this base cost me to build? And he's like, $4 million. And you're like, wow. Like there's like people that aren't even really like, you know, billionaires or whatever that make more money than that nowadays, right?
That's like a 3-bedroom in Beverly Hills.
Exactly. Yeah, it's you need to almost be a millionaire to own a house now.
Yeah,
and
that's like a nice house in Auckland.
Yeah, exactly. And then so there's this dude called Grant who, like, I think the first time you see him, he's shirtless, and like, now bear in mind this is from a fat fuck, so I'm not body shaming here, but like they present him as being this like jacked, you know, like, oh, he's a fit specimen, you know. He just looks like a normal guy, like, you know, compared to like the Instagram bodybuilders you see now who are like truly shredded.
Yeah,
like he looks fit, definitely, but he's big, but like, you know, I think the average guy who works out probably looks as good or better than this guy.
Well, it's crazy to think, like, because
in the 60s.
To think the shit from that in the 60s to Arnold in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's an easily explainable chemical breakthrough in human physiological science that can explain that, but still, like...
Yeah, big shift.
Yeah.
And then they just have a fight in a train, and, like... It's really interesting. Like, you remember the gadgets were a big thing in spy movies? Like, he's got this briefcase that, like, if you open it normally, it will spray tear gas at you. But if you, like, turn the locks to the side and then open it, it's, like, opens safely. And Q's this guy that gives him all the gadgets, like, Q gives him that at the start of the movie, and you're like, that's going to be relevant later on for sure. And then, like, as he's fighting the guy, he like tries to go into his briefcase, and the guy's like, no, I'll do it, and he's just going to get a gun out or whatever, and then the dude tear gasses himself, and Bond just like sort of fights him in the dark and I think strangles him to death or something. And like that's kind of like the big fight at the end of the movie. It's like 5 minutes long, maybe, if that. And then he's running from all these goons in a boat, and he's dropping oil barrels off behind him, and like, you know, it's that whole, like, we've got you surrounded, give up kind of thing. And he grabs a flare gun and shoots, like, one of the barrels, which explodes, and then just, like, this big wall of explosions. And, like, all the bad guys' boats are burning, and they're, like, you know, they're all just, they're, like, bumbling idiots. And, like, they're all, you know, like, I guess this is how cinema's changed, as you think, like, oh, that's the start of a big fight. But for this movie, that was like, you know, you're just watching the bad guys all catch on fire and jumping in the water, and, like, that's the end of the movie kind of thing. And he gets rescued after that. But yeah, like, really holds up, but you're definitely like, cinema has evolved a lot since these days.
That's crazy. Yeah What are we looking at for time?
That's a good question. I can't actually see. Can you
37.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much bang on there.
Yeah, with the 8 or 10 we did at the start.
Yeah, so keep listening to. We're going to switch when we do our sign off. We're going to switch back, and we'll just check the audio from whatever the camera picked up.
Yeah.
Plugs. What have you got coming up, my friend?
Nothing too special. I'm running the weekly open mic on a Tuesday at the Vic here in Christchurch.
That's right.
So if you're not doing anything on a Tuesday night, kicks off 8:30. We're steadily building a solid open mic, I think. It's improving. And then, late night laughs at Good Times Comedy Club, occasionally on a Friday. So, you know, look out for the next one. At least once a month, sometimes twice.
You're also looking after the
Austin Club.
The Laugh Cellar for me sporadically, as I've got my it's like mainly the last rehearsal week for your tech, I think, to make sure all the sounds and stuff are correct. So that's next week, which I'm looking forward to. So yes, I think this episode, they'll be running when this episode drops. Head along to Canterbury Children's Theatre to check that out. Plus, I just had a big meeting with the booker and the owner of Good Times Comedy Club today, and we've booked something like 8 or 9 shows in to the rest of the year. So we're doing pretty much one gimmick show a month.
Nice.
For the next until the rest of the year, basically. So just go to the Can Do Comedy Facebook page. Off the top of my head, we've got Test Flight, which is new material only. Crowdly Working, which is going to be a crowd work show where all the crap questions are banned. So where are you from? What do you do? Are you guys together? Banned. The comedians have to ask better questions than that. Naughty But Nice. The comics do half and half their set. There's Dirty and Clean. This one time it's a remixable sort of storytelling interactive game show. I will make a video as to how that works because it's very hard to explain, but it is a bloody good show. We've got a whole bunch more. I'm spacing on the rest of them, but some fun stuff coming, I think. Sock of the Pops, like I mentioned before. And that's about it, really. I'm very taking it easy on the TikTok front because I am representing a children's theatre thing at the moment.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I haven't been posting a lot, but you just gave me a fantastic idea for a incel workouts. I think we'll go over the I won't say too much about that, but just keep an eye on the TikTok for that. So thanks, Matt.
You got
Yes, comedy for another couple of weeks. When this drops, we will be getting pretty close to the finals, which we're so far at the time of this recording. We've got Jared Cook and Tim Kelly have qualified.
Yes.
We've got 5 more heats to go before we go to the finals, so there'll be 5 more comedians qualifying. You planning on doing another one? Or was
I've signed up for them.
Nice.
I think I got fairly close on the night I did.
You did well. You did.
Hopefully we can get through to the final in the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. So comedy every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. We were hoping it would be year round, but they were like, let's just do it twice a year for a run, and we'll keep it at that, I think, which is cool. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in again. We'll see you in another 8 weeks, I guess.
See you later. Hey, welcome to Hosstown.
Welcome back.
I'm Matt.
I'm Taylor.
And we're back, first time in a while. Life's kind of got in the way a little bit, but the Hoss rolls on.
Right. So the thing about podcasts is you start them out when you don't have a lot going on, and you're like, oh, my schedule is going to be like this for the rest of my life, and then you get busier with things. I don't know. How long are we doing this? We're up to episode 7 or 8 now.
But it's been an 8 or 9 months.
It's coming up on... Can't be far away from a year, I think.
It was sometime last winter we started, maybe July or August. Yeah.
You watched that first episode when I sort of didn't really know what I was doing on the video. I still don't, but humble beginnings.
Yeah.
to slightly less humble.
Way less humble.
Yeah. I mean, we got awards now, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at them across the room, or yours, mine are at home. So.
Where do you keep your award at your house?
On display.
Yeah,
it's in the lounge.
It's the first thing people see when they walk into your house. It's
literally on because my desk is in the lounge.
Yeah.
But and you've seen my desk. It's the most obnoxious desk.
A big
possible.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, big Vince McMahon CEO desk. Yeah. Right on the front corner when you see walk in the door is just that guilty.
And it's such an aggressive trophy as well.
Yeah.
It's like that rebellion fist, but it's clutching a microphone in its hand, and it's really white knuckling the microphone by the look of it. Oh, that's outstanding. Do you have any ambitions for awards, or are they just a nice little kind of...
No, I always I have a complex of just assuming I won't get them.
Right.
Even though I it's kind of the ego. I assume I'm good enough to win all of them, but that no one's going to recognise me and I'm not going to get any of them.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of being recognised, sorry, I won't dox your family member, but a family member of Matt's recognised me in public a few days ago, and I walked into their place of business, and much like I feel like anytime I think I'm going to be recognised for stand-up, it's always oh no, they know me. The first time I met Audrey Porn, she was just in the crowd of a show, and she came up afterwards and was talking to me, and I was like, oh, this is cool, man. Comedy fans are fun. Yeah. Fun. And because I'd been back in Christchurch for I don't know, a month or something at that point. And then Audrey's like, no, I'm a comedian as well. And I was like, oh, dang, it doesn't count when it's another comedian talking to you. But
well, it shouldn't count more because, you'd trust the fellow comedian's opinion on comedy rather than a random audience.
Real recognised, real. Yeah, that's true. But I thought it was a genuine, this person enjoyed the show so much that they wanted to talk to me afterwards. And it's no, it's just a colleague, I better go talk to him. But so this person, I approached the desk at their place of business, and they said, you do comedy? And I was getting ready to yes, I do. And then they said, with my family member. And I was like, oh, okay, you know me through that, not through not through that. And then, so I started laughing when they said this, and then I went, do you know I'm often mistaken for Matt in public? And your family member went, yes, for a second when you walked in, I thought...
Yeah, I had to chase them up about it because I saw them on the weekend and they mentioned that, and I was like, come on, I didn't look that much like that.
No, it was,
I think, well, I don't know if you've been to that place of business. It is, I don't know, it's quite a distance from the front door to the desk.
It's a good walk.
So,
a lot of time to realise that it's not the same person.
No, but I mean, I think we had another interaction where we both went to that, what was it, that Q&A session with Scott from the Classic.
And Scott thought I was Cam. Oh,
no, he thought you were me, and then was like, oh no, that's Cam.
Yeah.
And then like, oh no.
And then also
Taylor.
Cam doesn't go by Cam anymore on stage.
No.
Cam goes by Ron Mack now.
Yeah.
I will say, to be fair to Scott, I didn't have long hair the last time I saw him. It was probably a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm also very forgettable, but...
well,
how many white male comedians do you think he sees in his days?
Exactly. I know, it was probably just over 6 months ago that I was up there and met him, so it was yours more... When was the last time you up there? Was before that?
Probably a year ago.
So I was probably a little bit more recent, but yeah.
Yeah, so. But we just had to... I think everyone in the room laughed because it was like, again...
Here we go again.
I think we've talked about this. We might as well put it out there. We're hoping to do a comedy show where we all play the same character and we're hosting the show and we just swap out each act and never address the change. And I think maybe we have like a set of glasses or something that's consistent. But I think that
we could do that in a talk show where we just like keep rotating who the host and the guest.
That'd be funny, yeah. Okay, so we're really franchising it out in case one of us is sick. The other two can pick up the slack.
Well, that's kind of happening. I'm hosting the Austin Club show.
Yes, you've been looking after the Austin Club a lot. Hansa probably doesn't even notice the difference.
No.
Hey, Taylor, good to see you again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, no, I do appreciate that. So we could probably talk about why I'm a little bit absent lately. I don't want to talk too much on the backstage one, as it is. So I'm in children's theatre, and
the play, not the
No, I'm just a fan. I just pay my money like anyone else and get a cushion. No, I'm an actor, if you want to call it that. I'm yeah, exactly. I'm a serious actor. I'm playing a character. He's a dramatic character, you know. He's a man just trying to keep his family together on by far the most harrowing experience of their life, a home invasion.
Yeah.
But up until that, he's a really interesting character because he's been doing things. He's sort of been torturing himself. He's been sleeping on a bed that's too hard. He's been eating porridge that's too hot. He hasn't shared a bed with his wife in 12 years. You know, I'm playing the father bear in Goldilocks and the Three Bears, which has been... you ever done any children's theatre before?
No, I haven't done any acting at all.
Yeah, I should talk about why. To be honest, I don't really know why I just kind of thought it would be a laugh, you know what I mean? Like I saw they were auditioning and I sort of thought, oh yeah, that could be a bit of fun. Because it's actually a pretty common thing in the UK. They call it panto, which is like kids theatre, I guess. And I know people who like their, I don't know what it is, like their winter job is doing panto at schools, and then the Edinburgh thing is in the summertime, so that's kind of their cycle as they go between stand-up and panto.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh yeah, that could be fun. But then I noticed that they had a thing saying like, this is when we need you to be available for rehearsals, and like, you know, we do evenings, so I thought, I can't really make that work. But then they couldn't, either nobody turned up or they couldn't find a good father bear for it, and that was like the only character I could play. So when they posted saying like, yeah, we're really looking for someone to play this, I was like, wow, I mean, you know, if they're desperate, they might take, you know, they might lower their standards a little bit, and I might be in with a grin there. Yeah. And no, they were happy to have me on, and it's been a lot of fun. Like, the thing that, like, how are you with remembering your lines and your bits and stuff like that? You got a pretty good, you got okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think I've delivered this joke the same way more than twice.
You keep it fresh, is what you do.
Keep it fresh. That's what I'm doing.
It's all for fun. It's all in the moment. Yeah. But that's been the thing is, but I mean, I have the least lines in the play, but I was definitely one of the first in the cast to kind of get the lines down. Yeah. We've all got them now, which is great. We're about, I think. This will be out by the time. I mean, I think the play will be going. So if you want to come down and see it, it's definitely Saturdays and Sundays during school holidays, which is the think it's the 28th of June through to whatever 2 weeks later is of July, 14th of July, around about that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, tickets are selling very quick apparently, which, you know, I'm taking full credit for, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But no, it's very cool. And yeah, I won't say too much about the backstaginess of it, but it's like, it's very different to stand-up because, like, I think with stand-up, you want it to be as believable as possible that it really happened.
Yeah.
But with this, because it's children's theatre, you have to be a little bit like it doesn't matter if I'm looking at the other people when I'm talking, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking to the other two, but really I'm looking at the audience, and I keep like looking over my shoulders and stuff, and they're like, no, you don't have to be like, you know, talking to them. Like, they get it. You're doing theatre. Like, it's they're not going to be like, wait a second, he's not looking at the other two characters.
It's not like if it was like a television show.
Yeah, exactly. My sight line, I don't have to have sight lines and stuff like that. And so that's been something to get used to, is like, there is a certain amount of suspension of disbelief. What was the other thing that I have to sort of get used to? I've got these feet, because I'm like the father bear, so I'm like a bit, they always say, imagine you're like a grizzly bear, and I think mama bear is like a brown bear or a black bear or something, and then the baby is, you know, a cub. And so they keep, you know, that's the thing, I need to be like big, and I need to be quite slow and all that thing, but they've given me these feet.
That'd be hard for you to do.
I know, right? But naturally quick, you know, oh man, I've really got to slow it down. And they've given me these feet, and they're like, I guess they're slippers normally, like, you know, you get like, they've got big claws on them, and it's like my feet kind of thing. And when I first put them on, I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. But now I get really attached to them over the, you know, we'll do a few rehearsals, and then when it's time to take them off, I feel like weirdly naked without my feet on. So like, I think I got to buy a pair of them just to have them at the house.
Just have them around the house, and then you'll, just get nostalgic. Just, it'll be like big.
Back in theatre.
You wear them for like Zoom meetings, and it's like Papa Bear is on.
That's right. I'm really getting into character there. I do start to understand that idea of like, when you put on your costume, you become the character. Fuck, did I hit stuff? Did I hit record? Fuck, I don't think I did. Well, we've got some audio there. Is it recording now? All right. Fuck, I've done that twice now.
That's all right. We're only like 10 minutes.
That captures some of it, so I'll just fix it up.
Yeah, maybe put it at the end, sort of. I don't know. I'm just thinking the audio quality might turn people off.
Yes, that's a good idea. Okay, so
we'll do the start again.
We'll talk about your stuff, and then we'll put it. Okay, here we go.
Thanks for listening to Hosstown. Don't forget to share the episode and leave a review on your favorite podcatcher. See you next month. We'll see you then.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.